Hey Virgo, your July tarot reading is ready. I'm Eleanor and welcome to Pink Pearl Tarot. Your main theme for July is the Amanita mushroom. It says expanded awareness. And then your relationship affirmator is loyalty. I'm there for the people I care about in whatever way they need me. Ride to the airport? No problem. Bail you out of jail? You bet. Go to see your band again? Maybe. The point is, when I stand with them, I know I'm part of something special. And to be honest, it doesn't suck to look around and remember they're standing with me too. All right, so what this means for July is that it's all about expanding your perspective on your different relationships and connections so that you can better honor them for what they are in the bigger picture. It's a time for elevation and clarity. They're wanting you to look beyond the physical surface and see things through a more spiritual lens. And like, does the nature of certain connections allow the other person to grow the same way, or do you need them to grow the same way that you grow? There's a meme I saw once, and I know I quote it often, but it could not fit any message more perfectly than this one. It says, "Don't commit to me, commit to your evolution, and I'll meet you there." So it's deconstructing the common concept of loyalty as a commitment to keep something the same by holding on to it tightly, to more of a commitment to yourself to continue to grow, and a commitment to those you love to allow them to do the same. And there's a song lyric I just heard today too. It's something like, maybe if you don't hold on too tight, maybe you'll never have to let go, or something like that. So anyways, so for the first question I've asked is something that you might not be seeing. And I have to kind of flip these over off camera because they're not all, I know some of these people are not totally clothed, and here's one of them. You have the world. I'm going to put that down right there. Okay, something you might not be seeing, the world. So this is actually referencing that higher perspective in general. Actually, no, specifically it is. This represents awareness of the interconnectedness of all things, and how living in harmony means not trying to possess or alter or destroy, or even decide for someone or something else what's best for them. And you could say that it's seeing things from God's perspective. Now, normally I don't get all that spiritual in here, just sometimes when the cards especially are bringing a spiritual message, and this time that's what they're doing. Now, obviously, no one can see things from God's perspective. We all see things from our own. That's kind of the whole point. But I'd say it's definitely calling you to see from a perspective other than ego and fear, which arise from a sense of separation and other. So for where you will see the most change, you have temperance. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to hold that to where it's, the light's never really just that great in here. So changes on the ratio of, in the ratio of things in your life, if that makes any sense. It's changes to the balance, where the balance is maintained, but now it is how it's established is changed. So as an illustration, okay, hormones are like this. It's never about a fixed amount of either one to maintain balance, but their relationship to each other. And as long as they're in harmony, the body functions all right. And the amounts can fluctuate as long as they're working together. So does that make sense? You could find that you have more of some things and less of other things, but the overall balance continues. Or like maybe if things have been feeling out of balance, you could find that restored here, a greater sense of equilibrium. Like the sum total looks unchanging, but what it is made up of is changing. And this is also a card of alchemy, so you could be seeing something finally starting to come together in a way that you've been trying to achieve for some time, but haven't been able to quite get the right mix. So for what will be your biggest obstacle, yeah, you have the Queen of Wands. Let's get her covered. Okay, Queen of Wands for your biggest obstacle. This can represent an aspect of yourself or someone outside of yourself. That's how I read court cards. So if it's another person, it's someone with a lot of power, someone who's really good at what they do creatively, and whose will you might find very hard to budge. Like the way she's dipping into that chalice there, it makes me feel like it could be someone with a hold on your heartstrings, someone that has an effect on your emotions. Now, if this is an aspect of yourself, it could be your own stubbornness or your need to be the best, or like an overactive need to be seen in a certain way, altering your decisions. Now, for the best thing about this month, my favorite part, you have the Five of Pentacles. There, hopefully you can see that. So the Five of Pentacles in this deck is a little different than in the traditional structure. This is talking more about adaptation and staying focused on what you're trying to create, even though there's no one to witness it or validate it. So this makes it look like a period of pretty significant accomplishment for you, actually, particularly around your feelings of being enough. But one thing this does mean is that the best parts of this month will mostly be only known to you, and there's no pressure to share, which means there's no real deadline except that what you put on yourself, which means you're free to lift it at any time. You know what it is? I'm hearing it's Tim Gunn saying, make it work. And that's what you're doing. You're making it work. Project Runway style. Okay, so for your influence and impact on others, you have Judgment. So you're serving as a huge wake-up call for some people. Like, coming into contact with you might have someone realizing that they've been sleepwalking through life almost. And there's also a filtering happening here, a separation, like from the wheat from the chaff, as they say, where you're calling in the people who are for you, and those that aren't will just orbit out naturally. Finally, with this, I think you're initiating something, like you're assembling the troops, or you're starting hangouts. You're a catalyst for reversing the whole social isolation thing that the media keeps talking about. You're going to make a difference in that. You're going to bring people together. Okay, so for what opportunities you should be looking for, you have the Six of Cups. Opportunities to share your story or connect over shared history. It's funny, at the last second there, I had that feeling like you gathering people towards you with that Judgment card, and this is following up on that with communion with others. So what you do once, it's like what you do once you're all together. And it's also opportunities to give and receive kindness. It's a card of spreading goodwill. So you are sowing connection by taking opportunities to indulge in nostalgia and reminiscing and, memory lane and all that stuff. So for where you will find the most support, you have the King of Cups. Okay, so this deck is kind of weird because it has the King of Cups being more of like the Four of Cups. I mean, you can kind of see how bored he is and how these people are kind of like hunched over. So I'm going to try to read it as intuitively as I can. I still say court cards are other people or aspects of yourself, so I'll start there. If it's an aspect of yourself, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's about being your own best emotional support by taking yourself out if you're starting to feel down. Giving yourself what you need. It's being your own hand up out of a funk. Making yourself get out of the house. Okay. Actually, maybe this isn't that weird of a card to get here after all. Now, if it's someone outside of yourself, it could be someone feeling very much the same as you, someone who also needs to get out, and you could mutually benefit by offering each other the same support. Now, really big with this, sometimes they say the best way out of a funk is to help someone else and to get outside of ourselves. So that could be very supportive to you right now too, is to give someone else a hand up out of a funk. So for your self-care directive, whoa, oh shit, I bent it. You have the Queen of Coins, Queen of Pentacles. Hang on, I gotta make sure I didn't bend that too bad. Okay. Queen of Pentacles. Holy crap, look. Same mushroom. The Amanita mushroom. It's the same one. I love it when that happens. Okay, so since this is self-care, I'm going to pretty much say that this Queen of Pentacles is an aspect of yourself and not someone else. And this is talking about prioritizing your physical, financial, and environmental health this month. But since this mushroom is talking about expansion of consciousness, there's an elevated way they're talking about approaching it. Maybe a more trusting or inclusive way, or just a way that thinks outside the box. Because I really feel like you're community building right now, and since having community is part of security, it's your nurturing of that community that is contributing to your foundation of physical security. like taking care of others does not sound like self-care at first, but in this circular way, it does right now. So I hope that makes sense, Virgo. Much love, and I'll talk to you next month. Thank you.